and you're busy and you're just listening in, then also welcome. My name's Dominic, founder of Cacao Sita. I know many of you, and as I mentioned just now, it's really nice to be able to put faces to names that I that I write on envelopes and send out over these past years and months. So welcome. And this here is my partner Carolina.
Hello. I didn't realise that was my cue to introduce myself. Yes, I'm Carolina. I think so. A few of you I have met in person, others new too. So it's a real pleasure as well to see some faces and to connect with you in this way. And hoping to share as much as possible this evening that would be of use to you all.
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea of this call is, well, first off, I wanted to ask how many of you are space holders in some way, shape or form, whether you're a carer, a nurse, a sound healer, a yoga teacher, a ceremonialist. Everybody pretty much? Yeah, okay. Well, the idea was that in doing this work, there can be difficulty in doing this work. We want to serve and we give a lot, being space holders in whichever capacity that we are in the roles of our lives. And this work, it can be more difficult when we don't have the protocols and the tools to keep ourselves clean, to keep our energy clean. And then what I found, I'm like energetically very porous. So when I walk into a room, I really feel everything. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate as empaths and as sensitives. Yeah. Welcome, Robert. Nice to see you. I don't believe we've met before. Welcome. So as empaths, sensitives, healers, guides, etc., we can feel a lot, and it can be very easy to take on a lot. And sometimes it feels like we come home and we've got the whole day on us, in us, and it can cause, at least in my experience, it was causing problems, like emotional overwhelm, headaches, ungroundedness, dizziness, complete exhaustion, feeling out of body, taking sometimes 2 or 3 days post-ceremony to be able to come back to a centered space. And I was like, for myself, I'm not doing something right, like I'm offering and I've learned what I've learned from my teachers and from my guides, but I haven't learned this piece, and it's making life very hard, and it shouldn't be. We're doing good things in the world. It doesn't have to be that hard. So I wanted to start with really that this call is to address a potential problem that each one of us share in the work that we do or after the work that we do, and then to offer some solutions for these problems, solutions that have been found sometimes through time and experience, but also direct solutions from our teachers of plant medicine that have given us their knowledge and their wisdom from their teachers on how to really be able to protect ourselves before working, during the work that we do, and especially the cleansing, the clearing afterwards, and to have very good grounded protocols so that we can make it a part of our routine. I think the best way to work with the things that we're going to talk about is just to see, can we weave this into our routine so that we know that, okay, on Wednesday night, I'm going to be holding space in some way. And that begins not at 6 o'clock when the event starts, but it actually begins at midday with our preparation. Then I have the tools in place to carry me through the work that I'm doing. And then actually there's a protocol for when I get home, so that when I sleep and I'm back in the dream space, I'm a clear channel again, I'm back in my own energy, and I'm not having sort of interference and waking up having to do all of that extra work in the energetic space to feel clear and to be able to wake up and feel energized and happy and do our day. We all have a lot to do in many roles, and so if we're doing energetic work, we want to be able to be clean to live our day-to-day life as well. So I wanted to start with a little practice, because I know we've all come from our day of many, many things. It's a very simple breath practice. And all we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to find a comfortable seat. You can close your eyes if you want to, or you can have a soft gaze. And I'm going to ask you just to take a deeper breath. And to take a sigh out and just release the day. And start to bring the awareness down to your sit bones, down to the weight of your legs or your feet on the floor. And to really allow yourself to just anchor here. And if you like, you can see the base of your body as a mountain, wide, deeply connected to the earth. And you can see the crown of your head as the top of the mountain, that connection point up into the sky. And just taking a few clearing breaths, inhaling, drawing energy up from the earth, all the way up through the belly, solar plexus, the heart, the throat, third eye, all the way up to the crown of the head. And then exhaling and letting that energy drop all the way back down to your roots. Good. And again, let's inhale, drawing the energy up. You can see light coming up from the earth, filling the central channel of the spine all the way up to the crown of the head. And as you exhale, see light coming down through the crown of the head, all the way back down to your tailbone. And I invite you to take a few more breaths in this way, filling yourself up with the light of the earth, grounding earth energy. And as you exhale, inviting in the light of source, of cosmos. So nice and clear. Let's just do that 2 more times together. Inhale. And as you exhale, allow that light from source to just radiate, permeate out into the peripheries of your body as it moves back down to your base. And then 1 more time. Inhale. And exhale. We're going to do something which is called opening the Viracocha. It's also known as the luminous egg. So essentially we're going to reinforce our energetic field with that light from source, just to create some space for ourselves so we can sit in our own field. Okay, so very simply, you're going to take your hands, the camera doesn't go low enough, but take your hands down to the base of your body. We're going to do the same breath. Inhale, your hands up the central channel through the heart, all the way up, and open your hands up into a diamond up above your head, the soul star chakra, the Viracocha. And as you exhale, we're just going to paint that light into our auric field, just filling any tears, any gaps, any spaces that we see may have density around us or attachments, any projections. You can just use the light to patch up your field, patch up your auric field. You can do this as many times as feels right. If you've been having a tough time and you feel like there is stuff on you, then just taking the time to gently push it out of your field with the light until you see yourself sitting in a completely clear bubble, brilliant white or golden light. So your field, your space is clean and clear. And then once that feels complete, just see yourself. This bubble of light extends all the way from above the crown of your head, all the way down, touching the earth. So you're encased, protected. And I invite you just to notice how it feels in your body to have this field of light around you, how it feels for your nervous system. Any changes in your breath. When you feel ready, I'm going to invite you to come back together. We'll come back onto the Zoom room together again. Good. How are you guys feeling? Better? A little clearer? Yeah? Good. So that's one technique, and we'll talk about some more later that are very practical, easy to use in your day-to-day. Because this is obviously for when we're working, but going to the supermarket can be an exercise in energetics sometimes. So it's good to have these tools at all points in life. So as I was saying before the exercise, we're addressing the problem of things getting stuck to us, our field being too porous, and the results of that, the way it makes us feel, and how draining that can be. So I'm going to talk about the solutions to this, or we'll talk about the solutions to this, kind of from the beginning of pre-going out into the world, or pre-doing your treatment, or seeing your clients, or holding your ceremony. And then we'll go into the space of once you're actually with your clients in the world, in whatever you do. And then we'll do a section on once you come home, on the cleaning processes for once you come home. And both me and Carolina will be sharing this information. And then at the end, we'll have a little bit of time for any questions. Okay, so if you have a burning question, just jot it down, and then we'll come to it at the end. All right, so pre-work, and these are things that I've found have been really helpful. And the first one is, and I'm going to talk a lot about ceremony because that's a big amount of my work, but please apply this to whatever you do. But this also, really works with one-to-one clients, teaching yoga, massage, etc., as I've said before. So the first one is really setting the intention for what we're going to do. Okay, I'm going to hold a ceremony. I've received the theme. And the intention, I think the purest intention, the intention that often serves us best as servers, is to 100% be in service to the medicine we're serving, the service that we're giving, and the people that are coming to receive it. Right? Now I want to talk about this principle of being a hollow bone, which I know there are many different things that people say about this. But the way I translate this principle of being a hollow bone is as best as we can to check ourselves for our motivations and our anxieties and whatever else is going on for us before we go into service. Okay, so I know in the world of, if you want to call it well-being or ceremony or spirituality, etc., out there it can seem a little bit like a popularity contest sometimes if you go on social media. It's a bit of a circus, it's a bit much. And it can feed in, it can make us question, like, am I doing things right? That person does it this way, she's got more followers or more people, he's got this, etc. But ultimately, as space holders, it's important that we always come back to the intention to be of service from our heart, to offer the tools and the knowledge and the skills that we have with purity for the people that are coming. And this is sometimes the hard bit, without attachment to how it lands, how it's received, or the financial reward that might come from if you have 8 people coming, or 2 people coming, or 20 people coming, right? And this is very human, of course. We all have our insecurities, we all have our wants and our desires. But being a hollow bone means that we leave that outside of the space, and we come in with the intention of just to serve. And the reason I think this is so important is because when we come in with our own needs, desires, insecurities, and wants, and they're unchecked and they're just very much in our field, that gives a place for everyone's projection in the room of you, their thoughts, feelings, desires, wants. It gives an attraction, a hook for it to land in you. Okay, it's harder to protect yourself if you're there wanting to be liked, okay, because there's a lack of boundary. But when we go in from a space of clarity and purity, I'm gonna serve, and I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best to release my attachment to the outcome of what people think of me. then we hold a much stronger energetic boundary around ourselves, so that when someone is sitting in your ceremony projecting or thinking or feeling whatever it is they think, feel, or project about you, it bounces off that energetic boundary. And it actually, they say that if we don't let that through by having a good boundary, it reflects back to them. Okay? So then they might start to realize within the ceremonial space, rather than it landing in us and it gets a hook in us and we're like, oh, that doesn't feel good. But in some way they're getting a satisfaction and energy from it because it's having somewhere to land. But when you have a clear boundary and it reflects back to people, it helps them to see themselves more of like, oh, I'm really judging this person right now. You know, I'm really thinking X, Y, or Z about them, and it gives them a mirror. And that's a lot of the time our job as facilitators, to be a mirror. So they can start to realize themselves and be like, oh wow, like I'm much more negative than I thought. I can work with that. You know, it gives them material to work with, which is the whole point of doing a lot of this work in ceremony, right? Is to realize deeper layers of ourselves. But if we have a facilitator that's kind of nannying and doesn't have clear boundaries and kind of needs something from the participants as well, it doesn't give that clean space for the mirror to happen. So not only are we making it harder for ourselves to do our job, and then all of the work we have to do afterwards to find clarity and grounding and clear cleansing again, we're also doing a disservice to our clients that are coming. All right? So that might sound like quite a hard thing to do. We're not perfect beings, we're just human beings, and we all have all of our stuff. You know, so to really be a hollow bone and to go in there with a really great intention, it might seem like quite a lot, like, wow, like you're asking a lot of us. So I want to speak a little bit of how to work with this, how to manage this. And one of the best ways that I've found, and one of the trainings that I've done, is to work with parts work, what's known as internal family systems. And you don't have to be a therapist to work with it. But really it's just a way of relating to ourselves to go, okay, I'm about to give a client session, for instance, and I'm really nervous. You know, I haven't met this client before. I've only been doing this for X amount of time. I'm going to ask that part of me that is really nervous and apprehensive and wants the client to like me or to do a great job for that client, to give the best service I can give, to just step back and give a little bit of room so that I can breathe into my heart and stay centered. Okay, so I can stay with the thought of giving the best service and being in self energy. Okay, and what I mean by self energy is soul energy, spirit energy, Atman, if you follow yogic tradition, but a space of service, compassion, truth, and courage within ourselves to be clear in our mission, in our purpose. All right? And then, of course, you know, like it happens all the time in a ceremony space, because talking about ceremony, I ding a bowl wrong, and then my mind goes crazy. Oh, you're rubbish at this. You hit it wrong again. Like there's a tension. And if that comes, then we just go, okay, let's be mindful. Let's take a breath. Let's come back to self. Ask that tense part, that's clouding our vision and clouding us, to just step back so we can come back to clarity. Yeah? Does that make sense for everybody? Yeah. So these are practical tools that we can use to be more in self energy, more in heart, love energy, spirit energy, within service, so we keep a clearer field, a clearer channel. Okay? Right. That was a lot of talking. I'm going to take a breath. And I'm going to check my notes.
And also just adds to that, like that as well as it being such an important and effective way of establishing that barrier, as you're talking about being a hollow bone, being a clear channel, really what we're trying to be is in the service and the ceremony or the whatever work we're doing, we are essentially just a conduit for whatever it is, that is the medicine or the therapy or whatever it is that we're serving, and by doing that we're getting out of the way so that we can just be in pure service to that tool, that medicine or whatever it is. So it's really fundamental to the work.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think we've probably all experienced it on this call when you're in that space and You just know your service is flowing through you, right? If you're a masseuse, you're knowing where to go. If you're a sound healer, the instruments are telling you which ones to play. If you're a coach, you're just saying the right things. You know, we all know we're in that space. So yeah, absolutely. I forgot to say that. Okay, so we'll move on to the spaces that we work in. Okay, and I know a lot of us these days who are in service, in if you want to call it well-being, we work in different spaces, right? So we're going from this massage room to this therapy center to this studio to this yurt to do cacao, wherever it is. But we're showing up in spaces that other people have been in all day, you know? And so it's really important that we take the time when we land in the space to do a little bit of work there, and to also work with this principle of Aini, which is reciprocity, sacred reciprocity. So when we walk into a space has its own energetics, the dynamics of the people who've been there, the land that the space is on, the spirits of that land. So when we walk in, we really want to ask permission to be there, to do the work that we're going to do, you know, to ask for guidance from any benevolent spirits of the space to allow us to be there and to do the work we're going to do. And of course, we can make an offering, and oftentimes in ceremony we have an altar. You can make an offering on the altar, or you can make an offering elsewhere in the space before you even set up your circle. And of course, we all know, you know, about cleansing the space, smudging the space, and you can use your sage sticks, you know, you can use your palo santo, you can use your agua florida. This is chondor, it's a type of agua florida. But we clear the stagnant energy for the space, so we're not dealing with that. Okay? And I know that's a very obvious one. I'm sure this isn't new new information for you. But then within that, what I love to do for ceremony space is to then call in the 4 directions as guides, you know, the earth for stability, the water to be able to move as is needed, the air for the courage to speak truth, and the fire to be able to sit upright and to transmute whatever is there, and to call in your guides, your team, into the space to support you, and always in that way making an offering, whether it's some fruit or whether it's some smoke, whatever it is. Okay? And then we make an altar. Now, I know that it's not practical for those of you who are more in the coaching realm or the nursing realm or the caring realm to have an altar. You're not going to set up in an NHS waiting room an altar, you know. But an altar can be a small thing. It can be your one little crystal, you know. It can be a plant that is a protective plant like rosemary or sage or rue, and just to have it. And probably most people won't even notice. But to have things in the room that are there to ground you and help protect you. Can you speak a little more about that? Some of the things to say.
Yeah, well, as if you are in a ceremonial space and you have an altar set up, then it's often, it seems like an obvious thing. You'd put items which offer protection on the altar for you and for the people in the space, and you know, there are a myriad of crystals, of which I'm sure you know many, but just to name a few, there's black tourmaline is probably the most well known, and it's also anything that really just like anchors you into that altar. So it can be a stone, it can be any crystal that you resonate with. But in terms of plants and also addressing the fact that obviously not everybody is able to set up an altar, but you might just have space for that one thing and that one intentional place that you put it in. Yeah, crystals, but plants, particularly, well, you mentioned rosemary. Rue is such a common plant in this country, and it's one of the, we'll speak about it a bit later, but it's regarded in certainly in like South American shamanic tradition as like a master herb of protection and cleansing, and no one really will know what it is. You know, it's not going to stand out in any way. Sage, really, it can be like any plant that you connect with, and that it's there in that role to protect you. But there are layers that you can add to it, and adding plants which have particular protective qualities is even more useful. Also in South American shamanic tradition, it is quite common to offer red plants, red things to the altar, and this is symbolic of blood, essentially, and that is seen to be the ultimate offering to the spirits. So it's very common, obviously we don't want to use real blood, but it's very common to use, if you ever heard of, it's an Amazonian plant, it's called dragon's blood. It's quite common, it's quite easy to get hold of. Here actually we have some, and that it's a resin from a tree, from an Amazonian tree. It's very good for skin healing, for wounds, but it's also in the spiritual use to use as an offering. So you can just have it there, but also we can use anything that is common, that is native to these lands. It doesn't have to be an Amazonian plant. You know, it can be anything that is red berries, red. It could even be like beetroot juice. You know, anything that is symbolic of that offering to spirits. As well as red seeds. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add for that symbolic offering to the altar in terms of protection.
Yeah. So all of this in terms of setting your space means that we have a space where we have allies in the space that keep us clean whilst we do the work, especially in transformational spaces. It's important. Now we're going to come to what we wear for protection, and this is also important. So you can see, have you got yours? Yeah, we both have these necklaces. Now these were gifted to us, and the design isn't so important. These ones have power animals on them, which were gifted to us from our teachers, so we're grateful that this is what they chose for us. But it can be a necklace like this, a beaded necklace. These are from the Amazon. But it can also be, can you see this? It can also be, like, this, and you can see it's got these seeds on, which are for protection.
Seeds, they're called Wayuru seeds. They're from the Amazon as well, and they are have a very strong protective field. So, I mean, this is just one example of the type of these things. You can find them on Etsy as well. You have one also with the red seeds.
There's this, which has got the same seeds, and it's got ayahuasca vine on it. So all of these things, these plants are here to help as allies and for protection. But even if you can't get hold of these, or if you have no desire, like that's not my culture, I don't have a connection to the Amazon, why would I go that direction? Then you can find jewelry or anything you can wear that is made out of protective plants from here. But really, beyond that, it's about the intention that we're working with these items with, and it's about how we're programming these items for protection and with prayer before we're going into service, for whilst we're in service. So if we take one of these, and our teachers, they offered prayers to these for us for protection. And they showed us, you wear these, and then after every ceremony, any treatment, if you're touching bodies, if you're, giving guidance, whatever it is, you're holding space for people, then they need to be cleansed. They need to be cleansed. So we use something like Jondor or Agua Florida to make sure these are cleansed regularly, so the energy doesn't build up. And what I've noticed is I was using this, and it was getting heavy. Like every time I was putting it on, I wasn't cleansing it properly. And then I was like, oh, this feels really heavy to wear. Like it doesn't feel good for me to wear it, because it was like charged up, full of everything it had been absorbing, doing its job of protection. So it's really important when we finish holding space or our day of work that we cleanse them. And not only that, we remember to then also offer our prayers into them and gratitudes into them for their protection. So they become, I don't know what the word is. I'm just thinking of Harry Potter and those magical items.
Well, it's the same with crystals. It's the same thing. You cleanse them and you recharge them. So we have to do the same with all the protective items that we use. the ceremonial items, or regardless of whether you're holding ceremony or not, they are, they're protective items, they're talismans. They need to be looked after.
Yeah.
Because they're looking after us. Yeah, but yes, but it doesn't have to be anything particularly, out of the ordinary. I think you pointed out it could just be, the necklace that you wear every day, your favorite necklace. Just pray into it, ask for protection, ask your guides to fill it with protection for you, essentially.
Yeah, because it might not be appropriate to wear an ayahuasca and boar tooth necklace to your job. It just might not be, depending on where you work. I'm lucky; it's totally appropriate for me, but it depends on how your life is. So these actually have been one of the most saving graces of my energy field in holding space for other people. Because I was really struggling for a long time before we received the teachings about these, and they're strong, they're powerful. So it's I guess a little bit, in a way, it's widening our field of what we think our work is from before, then obviously doing the piece of work that we're doing, and after, and expanding our toolkit and actively working with and looking after our toolkit as living organisms that are here to help us and as allies, so that we can keep clean and we can stay in right relationship with the tools that we have, and of course with the spaces we're working with and with our clients. Okay, because there's nothing worse than like having leaky boundaries and getting into difficult situations energetically and mentally, emotionally, spiritually with other people. We just don't need that hassle in our lives, right? There's enough going on. So that's one thing. This can also be, you can wear bracelets, you've seen medicine bracelets, like this sort of thing, or like the one Carolina's wearing, these ones here. They all work as well. Yeah, we're showing you our entire collection.
It can be a mala, it can be. But I have to say that the seeds, and they are powerful as well. I have had a similar experience where every time I was wearing it and not cleaning it, not taking proper care of it during ceremony before I knew I even had to, it was burning. I'd feel it burning in my chest. So they do really absorb and protect.
So good allies to have. And then the other thing, which Caroline's going to talk about more because she knows more. I'm just going to take this one off, so you can see. It's called a chumbe. So this is essentially, it's cloth, it's material, it's woven, and it's like a belt. And you can place it around your belly, around your midriff, like over the navel and over the womb space. Yeah, especially for the women over the womb space.
So I have one on as well. I wear these for every time I'm in space, if it's in ceremony or any sort of similar, but also when I'm working with any energy or making plant medicines. And these are very commonly used throughout South America and different shamanic traditions, and actually in many different cultures, also different European cultures, for womb protection, but also like navel protection, because the navel is seen as an important energetic entry point, as well as the other energetic centers. The navel is a vulnerable spot for receiving unwanted energies. So these specific ones. They come from Colombia, from an indigenous people who originate from the Amazonian region, and they are woven with the intention of protection, and they are woven with different symbolic talismans, different depictions from their cosmovision, which with the specific intention of protection. So again, really the intention is what matters. Obviously, if you can, it's also made from beautiful plant fibers. You're adding extra layers of protection, but really what is important is the covering and the intention. So if you can't get hold of a chumbe, and again they are present in different cultures with different names, You can find them on Amazon, and also we have some as well. But if you can't, or you have no desire to wear something like this, you can also just wear a sash. You know, you can wear a scarf. It could be your favorite belt. It's just mainly, the main idea is just covering that navel center, and for women, covering the womb space. As we know, it's such an important energy center, and it's an important area to protect, and it's a very vulnerable area as well. But no, it's also important for men to cover there. And you'll see all medicine men in South America, they all have their chumbas in ceremony. It's essential. And likewise, the chumbe can also be used in a smaller form. Over the forehead to cover.
So you can also have one for the third eye. So we're really thinking about the vulnerable centers, the navel. Then if we're wearing a necklace that really protects the heart space, and then you can wear another chumbe for the third eye space.
And you can cover them if you don't want to be seen wearing all these things. You can also have it under your clothes, and obviously, the protection of the third eye. There's a particular medicine man who I'm thinking of, one who doesn't who wears it around a hat, who's wearing a hat, and he's got the chumbe around the brim of the hat. It's not the brim, is that the word? Whatever, this part of the hat. So it's like covering that place as well. A scarf as well, a headscarf will do the same thing. So there are different ways that you can cleverly disguise it if you don't want to be. You might enjoy wearing all these things, I do, but if you want to be a bit more subtle, that you protect these centers.
Yeah. Good. Everyone doing okay? Is this making sense? Good information for you? Good. Okay. So we have the chumbes, we have the necklaces, the bracelets, and we're just protecting the energetic centers. Okay. Then I was going to say a little bit about, what's the time? It's 22. Okay. I think that's enough for now for in ceremony. You've got into the space, you've asked permission, you've set your container, you've made an offering, you've got an altar that's protective, and you've got your necklaces, your chumbes, etc., also to protect your energy. So that works. All of that stuff really works. Also, before, like we did at the start of this call, before the ceremony, opening your Wiracocha also works to protect your space, so that again it's like a mirror, so nothing negative comes through that energetic field and you're not affected by it. So I think we'll go, just because of time, we'll talk a little bit about post-care, whether that is something that you do at the end of a day of seeing clients or massaging people, etc., or doing sound healing, whether it's something that you do straight after ceremony. And I would encourage, if you're a ceremonial space holder, that you actually do these things as soon as you get home, because in ceremony, there's a lot of energy that moves, and sleeping within that it's not going to kill you, but it just is harder work the next day. Okay, you've got to deal with it in your dream space. You wake up feeling not 100%, so it's good to do these things straight away when you get home. So what we'd like to talk about is the post-ceremony. The first thing is or the post-work, if you like, let's call it post-work, is to clean everything. To clean the chumbe, to clean the necklace, the bracelet, to clean yourself. And I found a way that I really love to work is with agua florida, or this particular one, chondor, because it's also sweet. So we'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment. There's herbs that are protective and cleansing, but there's also herbs that are sweet. So we can cleanse ourselves, but we also want to attract the sweetness, the goodness into our life. And we can use these tools for that too. Because if we're always cleaning, then it's just like, okay, we're just cleaning back to what, like a default of ourselves, but also attracting the goodness of life. We help people, we work hard, we also deserve the sweetness to look after ourselves and to receive good things too. So cleaning wise, you can simply spray this into your hands and just wipe clean your protective things that you're wearing, the necklaces, the bracelets, the chumbes. You can wipe them clean, or you can just spray them clean.
Or you can use soak.
Smoke.
Smoke.
Or, you know, if you love Palo Santo, if you love sage, if you work with mugwort, you know, it's your choice. Whichever herbs you resonate with that really feel like good allies for you, you can use them. Okay, and then once things are clean, maybe using something sweet. So it has that, like the chondo has something sweet in it, but also praying, giving thanks to these and praying for them to be filled with light and protection again, and giving your gratitude. And gratitude is such a hugely powerful emotion. You know, when we were speaking with our teachers recently, I was asking him, he was sitting there smoking his cigar before a ceremony. And I was saying, you know, when you smoke your cigar and you talk to Grandfather Tobacco, what do you say? What are you asking for? You know, because he's about to hold 6 people through a night of ayahuasca medicine. And so he's saying, I just give thanks. I just offer my gratitude for my life, for the plants, for my family, for this space, for the people who have come. And it's that element and that energy of gratitude that actually brings so much sweetness and also protection into our life. Okay, so attitude of gratitude is, if we can remember it, is first and foremost. And he said, try before you go to bed, even if it's just before you hit the pillow, to just give thanks for your day every day. Just give thanks. Whatever's happened, just think about the good things, even if it was the worst day ever. The fact that you got lunch, the fact that you had a car, the fact that you saw a beautiful flower, you got to hug your partner, whatever it is, just give thanks every single day. And he said, your life will change. The negative things that stick to you, that affect your mind and your thought forms, they will be gone before you know it. If every day you give prayer and you give thanks. So it's a nice and easy way.
I'm saying as well, imagine, you know, that was your last night, you know, you didn't wake up the next day, and imagine that if you hadn't given thanks for everything that had happened in your entire life just because you hadn't bothered to give thanks that night, you know. So what a loss that would be. So
yeah,
that stuck with me for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's the cleaning. And for those of us that use tools, i.e. the sound healers in the group, anyone who has tools for their work, make sure you clean your tools after every treatment. Okay, don't put your bowls back in the bag and I'll do it later. Clean your tools, because they're going to hold the energy of the space you've held for people.
And sprays are such like any really easy way to do it. Of course, you can be smoke cleansing, but just from experience, it takes a while, you know, and we don't always have that amount of time, especially if you have lots of bowls.
Yeah.
So sprays are really effective, and yeah, of course, you can buy agua florida on Etsy and stuff, but actually I'm going to give you a recipe you can make your own. It's not difficult at all. But just the water mechanism of cleaning is just much more effective, and certainly the method that is preferred that we were instructed to use.
Yeah.
To put it one way.
Yeah. So in a moment, I'm going to just pass over to Carolina to talk about plant baths, because these are really a profound and beautiful medicine to use in your life, whether that is directly after your treatments or if you're just doing it once a week, but to keep your field clean and also to keep attracting goodness. The last thing I want to offer before I hand over is when we're after ceremony and we're cleansing, we really need to think of water as medicine as well. We all take it for granted, right? We have so much water in this country, it's never really an issue. I know we get like a hosepipe ban once a year, but that's the most water scarcity we get. So it's easy to just dismiss water as something that comes out of the tap, that we have loads of, or something we can buy in a bottle at the supermarket and it quenches our thirst. But water is a beautiful medicine and has an incredible living intelligence. They say that the history of all of creation is encoded into water. It has memory. And of course, I'm sure you all know there's been so many tests about if you talk to water in a certain way, the water particles or the cells of the water form in one way, and if you talk to it in a different way, it's completely different. So when we come to cleanse ourselves, just even on a daily basis, when we're having our morning shower or our shower at the end of the day, which if you're someone that works with people regularly, I'd really encourage you, do not go to bed without having a shower, because your whole day is on you. And maybe you already know this and you already do this, but cleansing yourself before bed, even just with your normal shower water, the way and the intention that you approach it makes a huge difference. Of course, you can get in the shower, it's nice and warm, you clean yourself, it's all good, and you get dry and you go to bed. But if you want to add layers to that, then you speak to the water. You ask it to cleanse you, to protect you, to wipe off that which you don't need. Okay? And you ask it to clear your third eye, to clear your heart, to soften your belly. Okay? And you talk to water as the living organism that it is, and you build your relationship with it. And that's just for the water that comes out of your shower, out of your tap. But when we're working more deliberately with water, which Caroline will talk to you about, then it's important the water that we're using. Okay? So not using water out of your tap, but at the very least you want your water to be filtered when we're using it for purposes of cleansing, of cleaning. And at best, if we can, we'd have spring water, if that's available. If you live in Glastonbury, then you're lucky, and also some other spots around where you can get spring water. But for those of us who don't have a spring nearby, we have to make do with filtered water as our best. But I'm gonna leave that there and hand over to Carolina to talk about plant baths and their medicine, because she knows a lot about them.
Yeah, thank you. And that's a really important way to lead on to that, because the water really is just it's such an important part of the cleansing process, and of course, and then incorporating protective, cleansing, and then sweetening plants and herbs is the second half. Actually, really, it's thirds. It's the water, it's the herbs, and it's the prayers and the intention. So they're all equally. They all play an equal role in this process. And so those of you who maybe have been to the Amazon or have been in medicine ceremonies might be familiar with the concept of plant baths, and it's a really common thing post-ceremony, because obviously you are journeying with various spirits. You're up there and you need, and once you emerge from the ceremony, it's very common to still have things attached. So it's really this, like the importance of this really of using these plant baths was really highlighted to us by our teacher in Colombia, who we went to him to ask for extra help and helping protection during ceremony and cleansing and everything, and really he emphasized the importance of using water and plants, and specifically water on the body to cleanse. And so the process, as Dom said, it's ideal if you can do it after your ceremony or your treatment or your circle or whatever it is, the session that you're facilitated, or the space that you've been holding. Obviously, if you are working with clients on a one-to-one, like on a day-to-day basis, you're not going to be able to do this every day, but you could do this at the end of your week, for example. But in the case that you are doing this post-ceremony, it's really a good idea to prepare these plant waters before you leave, so that you don't have to do it when you get home late at night, maybe. And also, if you do it beforehand, then they get to brew for longer, and so the waters are stronger. And so the concept really is that we're doing two steps, two baths. One to cleanse and to protect, and to do that we use a combination of bitter herbs, and then once we've done that, then we re-infuse like our field with the frequency of sweetness and joy and light, and for that we use sweetening herbs. So also, as we said, really important to use like clean filtered water, spring water if you can. Obviously not practical for everyone always. But so some example of bitter herbs to use. So rue, we've mentioned already. Rue is considered the master herb in South American shamanic traditions. It is not only is it cleansing, and it's a very powerful cutter of cords, it's also protective. It's fiercely protective, and it grows actually really commonly in the UK. So if you can find some, then that's great. If you can't, you can also buy rue plants. You can buy rue seeds very easily on the internet, and it grows really well outdoors, like even in pots on your patio or on your balcony. Rosemary is such a common herb. Rosemary is well known for being a protector. Sage, as we know, also very good for cleansing and protection. Wormwood, also really easy to grow. Wormwood is, those of you who have any knowledge of herbalism, I know that wormwood's like a really powerful parasite cleanser. And in that way, in the spiritual use, it also is very powerful at removing parasitic energy. So you can use that. Juniper also is very purifying and protective, also grows really commonly here. You can find it in hedgerows. And nettle, like such a common plant, but nettle is really fiercely protective, and it stimulates, wakes up the system, and by that way also just like regulates the nervous system. And then Palo Santo as well. Obviously, Palo Santo doesn't grow natively here, and we want to be careful where we buy it from, and only buying from sources which have harvested from fallen trees. And obviously the reason for that, for not contributing to the excessive harvesting of it, but also because when the tree falls and is in contact with the earth, that's when the resin of the tree really like accumulates its medicinal properties, its strong protective properties. So you want to use only Palo Santo chips or sticks that are taken from fallen trees. But so choose any like 3 of these herbs, and we can send this list to you. But choose 3 of these herbs, no more than 3. You don't want to combine too many. And you take a saucepan full of clean filtered water. You put your herbs in. You bring it to just below boiling point. You don't want to reach like a full boil, and then simmer it for 20 minutes, and then take it off the heat. And that's it. It's really simple. And then obviously you want to let it cool before you bathe in it. And the process of bathing is just as important as the process of cooking, of brewing this water. And you really want to, so perhaps you've got home from ceremony or from your session, and you have your shower, your regular shower in your bathroom, and you can take the saucepan, take a jug full, and pour it from the top down. You want to cover the head down to the feet, and but this way you are covering, you're cleaning, the crown and the third eye and all the energy centers, and down to the feet. It would be ideal if it's warm enough and you're able to, and you have a garden, to do this outside, because then it's all the herbs are passing over you and removing everything that shouldn't be there, and is then being released into the earth. But obviously, living in the UK, it's not always possible. We don't want to freeze, so you can do this in your bathroom, in your shower cubicle, and then that way the waters drain eventually down to the earth. And then it's important post the next phase, because you'll still be in the bathroom for this, if you're doing this cleansing process in the bathroom. But the herbs that you've used for the bitter bath, that you then discard them. We don't want them. They have taken away all the things that we don't want to keep with us. So return them to the earth, but away from your house. You can bury them, they can be burned, but away. We don't want to keep them in our vicinity. You don't want to just put it in your little flower bed next to your house either. So that's the first part of the process, is the cleansing. And then once we've cleansed with the bitter herbs, we then want to reintroduce, and this is an important step, which I didn't realize for a really long time, you want to reintroduce the sweetness and the joy and the vitality back into your field. And so it's the same process. And so you prepare this sweet water before your ceremony at the same time as you're preparing the bitter water. So in a separate saucepan, the same process, full of water, and then up to three, a combination of three of these herbs. And you can use, for example, really commonly used in South America, mint, spearmint, if possible. So it's sweet, and so it's the spearmint sweetens, and it traditionally it's seen to clear paths and invite fresh opportunities and positive interactions. Basil, also known for its sweetness, and also is said to invite peace. Rose, the plant with the highest vibrational frequency, and obviously the quality of like unconditional love. We want to invite that back into our field. Calendula, known as marigold as well, brings in like the solar vitality. St. John's wort, for the same reason. St. John's wort has the properties of the sun, solar vitality, and also St. John's wort has the added benefit of offering a layer of psychic protection. So then you are introducing that back into your field as well. St. John's wort is also really good. You can make a really nice oil with it. This is an aside, but like for that you could also use pre-ceremony if you made an oil infused with St. John's wort. But then just coming back to the sweet water, cinnamon, you can use vanilla, cloves, and also from the mouth of our Tiata, sugar. Put sugar, honey, sweetness. You want to invite sweetness back in. So use those. There are others, but that's an example of the most commonly used one. So so you brew those in your pot, and then in the same process, and then simmer and then let it cool. And so once you've done your cleansing step, then you do the same with the sweet waters. So you can do the same thing. You can pour it down from the head, covering all the energy centers down to the ground, or what is a really nice way to do it is you can put it into a warm bath, so you are immersing yourself in all those beautiful sweet herbs and plants and really sitting in that. And that's a really nice way to do that as well. And I think that's it really, and just really important to remember that as you are brewing those waters, that you are praying into, and you're praying for the purposes for which you are using the water, and giving gratitude and thanks to the plants. That's a really, really important element. That's it. Was anything else to add on that point?
No, I think I'm just looking at what we wanted to talk about, and I think we've covered it. If you were to adopt these practices, they should hold you in really good stead to be able to continue to be in service, and also be able to be energized and protected and well in your life, so you can serve more, and serve your communities well, and be present and available for your family and your loved ones and your friends, and not having to take 2 days out. I can just speak from my experience, but sometimes taking a couple of days to come back to rightness. That happened to me for a really long time, and it was hard, and so having our teachers and the lessons they've given us, and having tried their advice and their techniques, I was like, well, this is great. Everyone should know about this, because I know that it's something that isn't taught so much. You go and you do a breathwork training, they don't teach you this, or you do a cacao training, they don't teach you this, a massage training, they don't teach you this. So we wanted to share the knowledge of our teachers with you, and of course we're going to have a little time for Q&A, so if you have any questions, we'll have about 10 minutes. And the last thing I'll say, there is the one, thank you, Leanne, all good, enjoy your evening. So I just got a message. One thing I'll say is we do go deeper into these sorts of things in the cacao training that I run, the Art of Ceremony. It's the only plug I'm going to do tonight, and it starts in a couple of weeks on the 6th of May. It's a 3-month container for cacao facilitation, shamanic facilitation, holding space, holding circle. That's all on the Cacao Sita website, which you'll know because that's how you signed up to this. So if that interests you, then you're welcome to just shoot me an email or a message, and I'm always happy to just have a call and have a discussion and see if it's the right thing for you. It's a 3-month journey starting on the 6th of May. Plug over, and over to you guys. So if you have any questions, then please fire away and we'll do our best to answer them. If we don't have an answer, then we will find one for you and ask our teachers and come back to you via email. So yes, over to you guys. If you have anything you'd like to ask, please do.
Yeah, just feel free to unmute yourself if you do.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks very much for that.
Shane.
Shane, I think you. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Can
No?
you unmute yourself?
He is unmuted.
Oh.
Yeah?
Let me just check that. Let me just check what's going on our side for the audio. Select a speaker. Okay, that's why. All right. Try again, Shane.
Hello?
Oh, I got you. Great. Nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for that, both of you. That was great. Something for me, certainly, that I need to give my energy to is definitely post-care. Pre-care, I'm very, very on it, but certainly sometimes you feel when you've been holding space for a lot of people, you're so drained. It's just like, I just want to get cleaned up and like go type of thing. So this has been, it's been a good reminder for me, with obviously with some great tools as well. So thank you for that. With the herb baths, that's something that
guys, I hope you're all having a great.
Oh, hang on. Back to Shane. Steve, if you can mute yourself, I'll mute you. There you go. Back to you.
So with the obviously I've seen a lot of the flower baths and stuff. Is that something that, like, for instance, if you guys did a retreat, would you at the end, would you do that for people, or is that just for your teachers to do? Is that something in the lineage that needs passing on, or is it something that you could actually give to your clients at the end of a retreat or something like that? Is that
100%? Yeah, you can. This is something that we were very much encouraged to use, as much as possible. So yeah, it's not something that is you necessarily need direct lineage. I mean, obviously, if you're working with plants that you have a particular connection to, it will be better, But yeah,
yeah.
plants are there for us to use, and just the importance is that we remember. The important step is that we remember then, to give thanks to the plants themselves, and be that leaving them offering by just internally giving thanks. But yeah, that would be a really lovely way to end a retreat. So yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time for doing this for us all as well. So thanks.
No, thank you for joining us, Shane.
I was going to add, there's another layer. Obviously, working with the plant baths, working with herbs, it's a unique relationship of you to the plant. So making the effort to grow the plants and to nurture them, even if you just have a windowsill, if you live in a 5th-story flat and you just have a windowsill, you can grow rue, you can grow mint, so that you talk to them, and when you pick them, you give thanks. And there's this constant, what they call irony, sacred reciprocity with the medicines that we're using, so that they're more powerful that way. And also it just builds gratitude. It just builds gratitude in you to see this beautiful thing growing that you're nurturing, and then you get to use it as medicine. You feel how it helps you, then you keep nurturing it more. And I think this is a way of life that we've lost, right? Just even the language that we use the plants. Of course we do, but it's like we use everything, right? We just order on Amazon, we use the computer, we take this and we take that. And that's such a mark of our society. So it's important I think as people who are living, trying to live on the earth in a more holistic way, we try and be in reciprocity as best as we can. And it just adds to the medicine that we work with, and that we get to serve to others as well.
And then, the more that you have a connection with your plants, you are growing and you become like the guardians of these plants, and they tell you what they need. And like one thing in particular, which I forgot to mention about rue, if you do decide to grow rue, which is really easy to grow, rue likes not to be in full view of everyone. So it's important to keep it in a place which is perhaps not by your doorway, or like it likes a bit of sun, and so like on a sunny patio is great, but also just not right next to the door is what I'm saying. Yeah, like it likes a bit of privacy. But that's something, that kind of information is the kind of information that comes through when you cultivate a relationship with a plant. So yeah, it's important.
Any other questions? Sorry, we just went off on a tangent there.
This is great timing, actually, because I was looking yesterday and the day before for boxes to plant herbs to put outside my studio. And I was just stood there and I was like, what do I get? There's like all sorts of lavender and this and that, but this has been really helpful as well. So now I'm going to go tomorrow and I'm going to sort these boxes that are going to be outside of my studio and growing, because the studio doors, outside the doors, are in full sun. So that's great. However, I've never heard of rue. I don't even know what it is.
I know. Well, rue was new to me like a couple of years ago as well. But it's the scientific name, the Latin name is Ruta graveolens, and it's those of you who work with homeopathy will know it's a really common homeopathic remedy as well, for bone, I think, for bone healing. But actually, yeah, it grows. It's a weed. It's considered a weed, and it's you can buy seeds. You can buy the plants also in garden centers, and it's you'll see, if you ever traveled to South America, you'll see that it grows huge, and you'll find it in the markets, because it's so commonly used for all the cleansings. When you have like a limpia done, that's what they use. That's what that is, a massive.
Is it R-O-O? R-O-O or R-O?
R-U-E.
That's why I can't find it. I'm like Googling. Right.
We're going to send some notes, and so we'll send a list of these. So you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think what we'll do is we'll send you. I think I'll put the recording on YouTube, and I'll send you the link. So if you want to come back and watch the recording, we're also happy to send you a list of the herbs, so you have them. So when you're doing your shopping for your planters and stuff, you can have those.
Yeah, and
a recipe to make agua florida. Yeah. Because of course you can buy agua florida, it's great. You can find it on Etsy, but also again, it's nice to make your own personal one, deciding which plants you want to work with and having that connection.
And it's not the same. The ones that you can buy on Etsy, they are actually do use a lot of like synthetic fragrances. But then also you can choose which herbs to use. There are some herbs, the ones that I'll put in the recipe, the commonly used ones for agua florida, but then you can select from the list of the other herbs they're giving you what specific purposes you want, and you want a combination of things, because agua florida is generally for cleansing and protection, and can also be for sweetening as well. So you just make it your own. So that's the nice thing about it.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you both so much for your time. Just one really quick question. Could you also write the name of the belt in the correspondence that you share, or spell it for me, because I don't quite catch the name?
How to spell it?
Yeah, the chumbes. Yeah, so it's CHUMBES.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. If anyone's interested, we do have some chumbes. They're not on the website, but
no. If we have a few that Carolina bought in Colombia, so if you feel like, oh no, I really want a chumbe for my work, then just shoot us an email and we'll send you a picture of the ones we have, and then yeah, we can organise that for you.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Yeah, I really appreciate this topic because, like you said, it's not one that's very abundantly around, and it's so important. So I really appreciate you offering this. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Welcome.